Okay, so I'm back again, back with my pixels, and I'm at Arcata, California, and going to continue on with my next leg of the journey. And I am planning to fly to, I believe I'm going to land at Little River, Mendocino County, in California, and I will be crossing over a scenery disc boundary very shortly. I'm very close to the southern edge of scenery disc 4, and about to cross into scenery disc 3. So I'm gonna go ahead here and taxi out at just about 1 p.m. Oops, I don't want that much throttle, actually. Just taxiing. I'm on about a north heading, so I'm just gonna taxi to the end of this runway here to take off to the south. And one thing I was wanting to mention is how it's 1 o'clock here, and I started my journey at 8 a.m. and in Olympia, and in 4 hours, it's really less than that because I was all confused in the last show, and I got confused about where I was landing, and it took me a while to get on the ground, so it took me I feel like it added almost an hour to the trip. And if it hadn't been for that, it probably would have only taken me about maybe 3.5 hours or so to get on the ground. And I figure I'm really already about halfway done with the trip to San Diego, which is really remarkable when you consider in that amount of time, if I were leaving from Seattle, I did start in Olympia, but if I were leaving from Seattle, 3.5 hours would only get me to Portland. 3 hours I believe would only get me to Portland. I mean, I did leave from Olympia, so that does kind of cut some time off. But I mean, I'm already just about halfway through the trip. I mean, I'm already into Northern California, and just how much faster air travel is. And I know it's just a simulation, but it's probably pretty close to what it would be like in reality. That I've only, let me see, I've stopped. I landed in Astoria, then I landed again in where did I land again? Oh, I'm actually confused. It's been about a few days. It's been more than a few days since I've been doing this. So I apologize for that. It seems to me I did land one other time. I can't remember where now. Yeah, I did, but I can't remember where. So it's been only three stops. But yeah, that's like, whatever, 3.5 hours. And factoring in three landings as well, and I'm already this far south. So anyway, that's just it's pretty incredible. If I were driving, it would have taken me probably 12 hours to get to this point from Seattle. 10 to 12 hours probably. Anyway, I am set for takeoff here. Let me make sure that I don't have my flaps down. And we are on our way. I know it might not seem very exciting, especially for people who are into modern day gaming. But I just really enjoy this. I like these pixels. I just find it really fascinating that someone was able to create these worlds, this whole universe, this 3D universe that you can explore in a plane all the way back in the early 80s. And I just think it's really neat to explore this world. In a lot of ways, I mean, I know it's lacking a lot. But I just like the quirks of it. I like discovering things in it, like going new places. Like I've never been to this Eureka Arcata area in Flight Simulator before, so this is all new to me. And every little area's got its little nuances, its little differences, and that's just really cool to me. It's just really neat. I mean, obviously this is a game that I grew up with. My first experience of a simulation or 3D graphics on this level. And so it still really holds a lot of its magic and a lot of its appeal for me. So yeah, so we're taking off here, leaving this Arcata airport, flying over Eureka. I think this is a good case in point how kind of cool this little bay is right here. Looks like there's like some kind of a marina. I flew over this area extensively when I was coming in. I guess I kind of like what discovering things about like the imagination of the people who created this with the limitations that they had, and what they were able to come up with, given those limitations. I've even become rather fascinated with the 6502 chip that was used in these old computers, particularly this Apple II. I have looked at some other flight simulators. Because I really never did anything more after I stopped, after I kind of grew out of the Apple II and Apple II games. I really didn't know what happened after Flight Simulator 2. And as it turns out, there were quite a few other versions of Flight Simulator that happened after this. I mean, all the way up until the present day, there are still releasing flight simulators that is essentially the same, in the same lineage as this original one. And the things that you see today are just unbelievable. I mean, they're basically real, and it does have a certain appeal to me, given that I really took to this flight simulator. Modern gaming is not something I've done hardly any of. I feel like it's something that I would be interested in getting into, but I don't want to make that giant leap right now. This still holds an incredible amount of magic for me, and kind of a purity in a way. And I feel like I want to thoroughly explore this flight simulator with all of the scenery discs before I start getting into later versions of this. But there are some really incredible things that I've seen, even in Flight Simulator 3, Flight Simulator 4. Then you kind of start getting into 16-bit. You're definitely getting into more advanced machines. But there's some really cool things you can do that I'd like to start exploring in the later versions. But for now, I am content just to be exploring what I have here. It occurred to me this must be a really big area, because it seems like it takes a really long time to get anywhere in this Eureka area. So what I'm looking at in front of me, it looks like there's this big landmass directly in front of me, and where it should be coastline. And I know that I'm coming up against the edge of the scenery disc here. So I'm guessing that's what this green is all out here, is just unfilled scenery disc area. I would expect, though, that to go away. Once it's like the way that this works, this simulation, is that it kind of breaks things off into these sectionals, which are kind of sub-sectional areas of the larger scenery disc. And when you get to the edge of one and then you cross into the next, it kind of refreshes the screen, and then you get a whole different set of things emerging in the scenery, like a road or a water feature. So I'm a little curious about what's going to happen when I cross into outside of the boundary of this scenery disc, because there is, I've seen and read about that. I think the way it works is there is like a large layout of landmass that will load, and then you will be on that once I get outside of the area that's covered by this scenery disc. So I kind of want to know. I am a little bit annoyed at looking at that big green area in front of me, because I know that's not what's there. I could go ahead and load up the next scenery disc. To kind of get away from that. Wow, I'm really high. I'm almost here up at like 8,000 feet. I don't need to be that high. I'll pull back on some throttle here. I also want to be careful of, I don't want to burn too much fuel. I think I have a decently long flight today. So yeah, that really is the boundary of the scenery disc there where I'm headed, the southern boundary of scenery disc for I wasn't sure, it was like at a weird angle, but I just kind of realized from looking at the maps that with my heading of roughly 160, that the maps aren't actually oriented exactly north and south. So they are kind of at a little bit of an angle. So yeah, that's I'm not getting my trying to get a level horizon here. Whoops. That is interesting though, how that's kind of at an angle there. It's not straight up and down. Oh, it just happened. It just crossed something. And I wanted to get that on video, but I didn't. I missed the exact moment that it happened. But now we are into the default scenery. That's pretty wild. That's the US upside down. It even has some of Mexico. I don't know what that big. Oh, that must be like Baja California, like the Gulf of, what is that called there? California? Cool. Well, it loaded the new area, the default scenery, which the stock disc doesn't have this. It's only on the scenery discs that you get this. So I don't know what this is here that's kind of jutting out right there. Huh. I can't go out. I can't zoom out any further than that. That's interesting. Well, anyway, I wanted to get into that default scenery. So at this point, I want to go ahead and load up want to load up the next scenery disc. Wait, I don't want to do that yet. I want to go into here. From here, I want to, from the edit mode, I'm in Asimov. Oh no. I don't have Scenery Disc 3 on here. I have it on, I have a different download of it, so I'm hoping that this works. That is it right there. Crossing my fingers this is going to work. Nothing changed. Huh. I better make sure I can get a, I have a download of it, I think. I don't know why I didn't copy that over. Maybe I have to cross a certain barrier or something to get into that new scenery disc. It just doesn't seem to have loaded the new scenery yet. So I'm gonna have to go and grab that other scenery disc and copy it over to the Raspberry Pi. Okay, I'm working on getting that other disc copied over. I'm not sure if this one that I loaded is actually gonna load. What's going on here? You know what? I might actually be on that. Might have loaded, given that this line right here seems to be like the barrier that I was seeing on the other disc. I have a feeling it did load, because I'm not in the default anymore. Otherwise the whole country would be showing up. It looks like I'm seeing, well, I was thinking maybe some airports, but yeah, I think I am in disc. I think it has loaded disc 3, because the default one does show highway, like freeways and stuff here. Whereas these actual scenery discs don't always have those roads showing up, which would be nice. I'm gonna go ahead and just to confirm, but I think it worked. Like that might be, I don't know, that might be an airport showing up there. I'm gonna go ahead and dial in a VOR station. In the San Francisco sectional. It is kind of far out, I believe. Might not be that far though. I'm gonna go ahead and dial in the closest VOR station, which is Ukiah. So I went ahead and punched in. I'm getting it. I'm picking it up. So I am in the new scenery disc. So that is good to know. It's just from a different download, so I wasn't sure if it was going to work. Not from the same set of scenery discs that I downloaded. The last time, and what I was using in scenery disc 4. This is from a different set, but it seems to be working. So I am picking up Ukiah. So I'd like to know how far away I am. Well, it's saying I'm 66 miles away from there. I'm not going to be flying to Ukiah. But I kind of want to get a sense of where it is. The line's starting to come back. So I'm on the 128th radial. I'm not far off of that heading at 137, so probably fine as to where I'm headed. I'm headed a little bit closer than that, but not far. I really got to lose some altitude here because I'm way high. Okay, so I had to clear some space out of my phone, so I have done that, and I also realized that I don't think I'm coming in at the right approach to Little River. I want to head back out over the water a little bit here. I am 36 miles out of Ukiah from the DME readout. So I am not sure exactly how far I am from Little River. I do want to check my relationship to the VOR. This is saying I'm pretty well east of Ukiah. Actually, Because I almost wonder now if I am actually, if I've already passed my destination. Although I don't think so. I think that little part of land jutting out there is due west southwest of Ukiah, so maybe Ukiah is about here. My airport is probably around here somewhere. Yeah, I'm definitely, there it is right there. Wow. Okay, I was a little disoriented there. I was really kind of distracted as well, worrying about my phone. I was also worried about the scenery disc kind of ordeal, whether I had that correct. What do I want to do here? I want to go back out over the water. You know, actually, I wonder if I really even need to land there. Part of the reason is that I don't have to refuel. And when I went into the edit mode to load in the new scenery disc, it refueled me automatically. So you don't even have to be on the ground for that. And I was kind of wanting that to be a part of this journey, that I had to rely on landing in order to refuel. It sort of takes away a little bit of the element of the fun out of it for me, unfortunately. Now I have to decide, what do I want to do here. If I want to land here, which is the original plan. I'm going to pause this for a moment and think about this. Okay, I decided I want to go ahead and land here, but I'm really not set up for a landing right now. So I'm going to go out. Oops. Oh, that set me down. I didn't want to go down. I put some down elevator on there that I didn't want to do. But I am a little too high. So decrease a little bit of throttle. Kind of want to go out over the water a little bit to make my approach. The runway that I want has a heading of 110. I'm going to go out over the water a little bit here. Oh, I can't see the airport now. Where did it go? Okay, it's due east of me right now. So I might as well continue on my heading and then turn to my right, make a loop out over the water to come in for my landing. I do want to lose some altitude here. trying to do some math in my head. I feel like I'm still not ready to make the turn. I guess I'm going to go ahead and go for it. It is situated at an elevation of almost 600 feet. It's weird. Little green artifact there. I don't think that's actually land. I do want to get on a heading about 110. Hopefully I will be. Oh, I'm not going to be lined up with it exactly. I don't think. It's hard to tell. I can't see it. Can't see it yet. Whoa, didn't want that. This already seems like a kind of a sloppy approach, a lot like my last one. All right, I'm coming down too fast. I'm going to drop my flaps. Gonna give me a little bit of elevation. Okay, I can kind of see an angle on that runway now. Just wasn't sure if I was too far north or south, but I think I'm a little too far south. Just gonna keep it kind of in view there. I know I'm at about 600 feet, which is pretty low. And I have been coming in too low on my landings, but I think it's gonna have to do for this one. I think I just want to kind of gradually inch this thing over to 110 when it looks like I'm starting to get that runway lined up. It kind of is starting to straighten out. This might not be so bad after all. Just gonna maybe try to hold here at about 600 feet. Okay, now I definitely want to get over to my heading. Looks like I have it pretty well lined up right now. I have noticed that this version 2.0 of Flight Simulator, I think it just handles differently than version 1. And what I mean by that is version 2, I mean Flight Simulator 2 version 2 versus version 1 is this version 2 handles a little bit differently, and I think it's harder to control, actually. Unfortunately, something seems different. These runways really seem to jump around on me a lot. I'm definitely gonna start maybe trying to lose a little bit of altitude, because I am starting to come in pretty good. Ooh. Uh-oh, too far right. Okay, I'm gonna cut power. Coming right in. I'm on the ground. I am on the ground. And running to the end of the runway. Gonna allow myself to actually, I'm gonna stop right here. All right, well, that wasn't too bad. I decided I was gonna go ahead and land here only because I could have gone on. But I decided my next destination is going to be San Francisco, the international airport, I believe it's called. And I do want to have a full 2 tanks of gas, of fuel for that. I might actually have been able to make it down there on what I have, but I also know that I was not really cheating, but I was aided by the fact that I had to go into editor mode mid-flight, and that reset my tanks to full, and I really kind of am trying to avoid that. So I want to go from airport to airport on just without actually only being able to basically refuel when I'm on the ground. So this kind of helps to add a little bit more of the realism to it. And so I am going to go ahead and get the tanks refueled right now by going into edit mode and then going back. Oh, this happens sometimes. It puts me somewhere a little bit different, but it did refuel my tanks. And let's see where we are. I'm a little off to the right, and there's some artifacting going on there. So anyway, here I am at the Little River Airport, Mendocino County, and that ends would be the 4th leg of this trip, I believe. And I'm going to end this one now, and I will catch you on the flip side for my next leg of the journey, which is Little River to San Francisco.